Hello, welcome everyone to another episode
Hi.
of Spooked Coast to Coast. We
What's
have
going
Joy
on?
and Joey with us.
Hello.
We have Jen and yours truly, Mondo from 305 Paranormal.
It's
And
so
we
nice
have
to meet you guys.
for the very first time
Ever.
for the 15th time. Yes. Well, first, before we start, Joey, how was that fight last night?
Stop leaning. Sorry, you guys. I'm sitting at a regular computer chair. He's sitting in a house chair. So he doesn't have arms, so he likes to take over mine. So I might be like this. Just don't mind us.
Sharing is caring.
Not right now. It's not. I'm not comfortable.
Well, speaking of fights, Joey, did you see that fight yesterday?
Nice
Yes,
intro.
I did. It was pretty crazy.
Pretty good. That fight should have ended a whole lot earlier than what it did.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
yeah. The ref was clearly like hooking him up with some time.
Kind of showing a little bit of favoritism, but
Yeah,
that's neither here or there. So
For the people who don't know what the hell you're talking about, what fight were you talking about?
we're talking about the Haney and Garcia fight from last night. It went the distance. It went all 12 rounds. It had no business going the 12 rounds. Garcia was handling this guy, and there was one point where the Haney was like crawling almost at one point, like he couldn't even stand. I don't understand why the referee kept going, except for just letting him for some reason. I don't know why.
yeah. He was giving him a chance.
Yeah,
It should have been like five knockdowns, not 3.
right. Well, it should have technically been a TKO because isn't 3 knockdowns in one round a TKO?
It's you in championship fights like that. They don't. There's no knockdown, like no 3 knockdown.
Ah, gotcha. Well, we do have a guest today.
Yes. So everybody I met Chasity. I call her Chaz. I don't know if she likes that or not. I don't know why I call her Chaz. Chasity on Instagram, and on Instagram she goes by the Luminary Luna Beams. She's an astrologer. She's also a medium, and she does remote clearings for locations, and she also tries to read locations paranormal wise, and she has dabbled in cold cases and stuff like that. Well, we'll talk about that. And she did my astrology chart, and I thought that was awesome. Like, the service that she provided was amazing. It was super detailed, and she really goes in with you. Like, it's an hour, but you'd be there all day, I'm telling you. And I thought that was pretty cool because that was the first time I ever had an astrology chart done for me, and it was interesting to what shows up as far as like maybe what's going on in your life right now. If she also touches on like say any abilities, which everybody has, but like what's your most strongest suit? Let's put it that for that. And there's so much different types of astrology, anyways. Like they have prime astrology. I forget what it's called. What you might be better at work and like family dynamic. It's just even location astrology. There's sort of astrology out there that tells you where maybe is your better place to live. It's so crazy. Like, I love it. So let's bring in Chaz. Are you ready? I'm gonna bring you in. I can see you in the backstage. All right.
Hey.
How we doing?
How's it going? Welcome to the show.
Good.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to be here.
No, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love doing lives. I don't know, 2 months ago, I was like, lives are not my thing. And now I have like 11 planned for this month so far. So,
that's good. Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
so far, so good.
Sometimes things just fall into your lap and
They are awesome.
you just start liking it, you know?
Cheaty.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Dantex, you should definitely have one done. 100%.
Yeah,
I think
Dan
it's so
Tex, I think, said he would love to have one done.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically that's an astrology. So I do different types of astrology sessions. So that one is identifying natural born intuitive gifts with astrology. And that's what I did with Jen. And then I can look at general astrology. We can look at certain dates, certain astrological transits. And I've been going live around certain astrological events like the lunar phases, new moon, full moon, or eclipses. And I've been giving people like what's happening in their life based on that astrology. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Astrology is fascinating. You can locate missing people, like Jen was saying, and everything. And again, yeah, I'm Chastity. I'm a psychic medium and an astrologer. I specialize in the paranormal and spiritual guidance and intuitive development. I'm in the process of creating classes now. So my first class is happening June 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be called Manifesting with the Moon. So we look at the 8 different phases and see what those mean and figure out how we can manifest towards our goals. And there's just so much more really involved with that. A lot that people don't really know about. And I actually tried it. Like, I've been planning it for 5 months. I've been tracking mine for 5 months, and it's really changed my life, because 5 months ago I wasn't doing all this. Now I'm actually living towards my dreams and my goals, and my business is expanding. I mean, still poor and everything, but you know,
One day
we're
at a time.
making it.
Hey, we didn't become rich from one day to the next. If not, we probably wouldn't appreciate.
Exactly, that's true.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, I do a lot of that. And yeah, I have a podcast called Lights at Midnight Podcast. I host with Emily, the Fine Art Medium. That comes out every 2 weeks. And then I'm doing a show with Rochelle, the Psychic Sleuth. She is a true crime like psychic. That's what she, I mean, she does all kinds of stuff. She connects with past relatives. We do that show, Divine Perception, every other week on my off week. And now I'm hanging out with Down South Supernatural every other Wednesday too, and that's who I went investigating with this weekend. So I've got quite a bit going on, but I love it. This is my job. So yeah, I homeschool my kids, and this is my job, and I love it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I love your shirt, by the way. Super cute.
Thank you.
I love the lacy
Thank you.
arms.
I love lace. I'm a lace geek.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah. it's
Thank
great.
you.
While
But
we were
yeah, that's kind
backstage,
of.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. No, I was gonna ask you while we
Way to
were
raise your hand.
backstage. You had just mentioned that was your first
Yeah.
paranormal investigation.
God damn it.
Okay,
Yes.
teacher. Can I talk now?
Love it.
So that was your very first paranormal investigation, correct?
Yeah.
So-
So that was my. Oh, go ahead. Yes. Sorry.
No.
I drank
just wanted to
caffeine.
get
I'm like.
your- I wanted to get your hear your experiences and your perspective from being someone that reads astrology and does a lot of work with tarot and things of that nature, now to actually being in the field investigating. I just wanted to kind of get your perspective as your first time doing it, and someone from that lens kind of viewing what we do pretty much.
It's
Maybe
over.
also have
So
a question. I'm gonna leave it on there when you get a chance.
yes, I do. Saturn returns happen every 28 and a half years, but there's a progression that comes up back and forth, and they're very transformative because I call it Daddy Saddy, and they have rules and regulations around Saturn. So yes, I'm fairly aware with it, and that's how I actually became intuitive, was after my Saturn return. But going back to the ghost hunting question, for the first time, I just had minimal equipment. I had like 3 cat balls. I had an EMF reader. We got a couple lights. We used our cell phones, which was great. I mean, I don't know the quality of video. We could have went further because these phones film in 8K, but we ain't got that kind of space to be dealing with all that. You know what I'm saying? So the equipment, because see, it's not to sound cocky or anything. I mean, I'm a walking ghost box. So if you want to know what's in the area, I don't need the cat balls. I don't need all that kind of stuff. So it was overwhelming for me, for everybody to break out their stuff and go at it. But I know I've watched paranormal stuff for years. That's how I got into this. And, it's really interesting because I just found myself setting back and watching and tuning into everything, and the information that they were getting. If I was able to tune in at that present moment, I would sit there and either just get the information claircognizantly or clairvoyantly, or I would auto write. And the first time I did that, it was everything that I know of. He validated the tour guide, or he was our security for the night. So he was constantly there, which, and we could break up a little bit, but it was different. I actually got my cat ball to go off. I was so excited because I don't ever,
Everybody knows that thing.
yeah, I was like, oh my God, my cat ball went off, So and Emily sent me that. Big thanks to Emily. She sent me a couple things to help me out. because she plans on getting some other stuff for, you know, her side of the, I guess, world, you could say, because she's about 7 hours away from me. So we do all our filming, you know, on location, but in 2 different states. So, yeah, it was, yeah, it's just been an interesting ride with Lights at Midnight. It's pretty cool. I can't believe it's actually been almost 2 years with that. But overall, the ghost hunting, it was fun. We had 10 people. I met some amazing people. It was fun to be there. I think I did capture something I'm going to share in my video that I'm trying. I've got to get all the content. Today's been like a recovery day, you know,
Yeah.
paranormal hangover or whatever. I don't feel psychically drained. Yeah.
Okay.
Do y'all have that feeling when you go ghost hunting? You just kind of like the next day.
Every day.
I get like, you're hit by a truck sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends. Not all the time,
I
but
feel absolutely useless.
freaking yeah.
Right. Right. I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah, it was fascinating. You know, I've been to the West Virginia Penitentiary and with like a off limits tour, so I got to go into places that people normally never have went. Any tours have went. And I picked up stuff then, but that was in 2021. This 2024, and you know, my abilities went from. I mean, I was already open then, but I didn't completely understand everything that I do now, and now it's like way up. So I was getting visions of like layers and time. So I picked up on somebody being, you get what I'm saying, like this, you know, and that was validated with a story. And the first thing I saw was we were at like the store. So the mill's gone, right? But the little houses and everything are there. And the store is 2 levels, but it's condemned. We can't go inside. Like they said, there's like 4 20-ton jacks that are only holding it up right now. It's like that bad. So, but on the top level, 2 or 3 weeks prior, when we started talking about it, I channeled in somebody lost their arm at the mill, and I saw a man standing up in the window, kind of with my eyes. It's kind of like an overlay. So he's there and not there, and he didn't have an arm. And they validated that. They said, I haven't been able to find it yet. He said, go on our Facebook page and look for the guy that owns the place, and you'll get your answers and you'll see what you're seeing. So evidently it was good. And we did the walkthrough tour and stuff, and I kind of tagged along, but hung back if there was any information that I didn't want to know. But overall, it was pretty cool. Got some really cool. At the very end, we didn't record it because we were just at that point tired, but they had like that ghost box where it doesn't have the sweeping noise. It's just like the voices that a guy named Angel built that's here local. Well, I guess you could say the Central North Carolina. And he built it. It's fascinating, and it was cussing me out. It called me a B and a SLUT and all kinds of stuff. It did not like me. There was an angry man. I kept picking up on him, and that's when the cat balls went off. But went down to the river. There was a lot of things that happened. Wasn't, you know, pretty good energy, but all the energy's up on the hill. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had about I think it was a necrophonic app. I'm still 50-50 with the apps, but I had people cussing me out too on those things. I was like, oh,
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like,
do you know why you know why he was like doing that?
I asked them. I just get the overall feeling, you know, when you have a place that's, you know, you go ghost hunting out and people are constantly coming through there, like, you know, you are most of the time, not most of the time, I would say probably 70-80% of your earthbound spirits are there because they're not vibrationally happy. So probably how they were in life, you know, you're disturbing them and you're coming in their area, and generally they're not happy. Do you run across friendly ghosts? Yes. Are they always friendly on the surface? Sometimes they are, and then they can turn, you know, in an instant, you know, and be evil. They're friendly to pull you in. They need that energy.
yeah.
So yeah, it was, I think it's just because we were there. And plus, you know, me being who I am and what I do, I carry a lot of light, which we all carry light, but like I try to push that out more because when you're a medium or a psychic or sensitive, you're like a lighthouse. So some things that are on the behind the veil or on the other side, they don't like that.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense for sure. So how long have you been how long have you had your abilities? I think you said you've
Yeah. So let's see. I was an inquisitive child. I was my only child until I was 12. So I had a lot of time to have like thoughts and play. And, I played with myself. I didn't have any kids to play with. So I spent a lot of time alone. So I always was very thought things through, and I would have imagination and stuff like that. And I didn't realize at the time that that was like a cue on being intuitive, because
Right.
it wasn't anything I really grew up with. But there's stories and stuff in my family of other people being sensitive to energy and stuff and having experiences. When I was 12 years old, I had a big experience. I actually went to church camp, and I decided to get saved, which I was not raised in church. I'm from the South, obviously. They say, you know, Jesus saves your soul, and don't commit sin or you're gonna burn in hell. That's all I was ever told. Really, it wasn't really
Yeah.
explained. But I decided when I was 12, and then I had my first astral experience when I decided to get saved back then, which of course I moved out of the Christianity thing, but of course I'm very spiritual. I would say that I've always kind of had a sixth sense, but it progressively got stronger. But it started out with very paranormal, very scary roots,
Oh wow.
possession-y, like it was rough. And I went through that for a long time. That's part of the reason I had to do what I did, because it all kind of went away with certain changes in my life, and then it come back with a force. Like when COVID hit, that's when my I really realized it kicked in. It just kicked in strong, because I was watching the very first day it aired on the news, and my friends were staying with us for a couple weeks, and I looked at them and I said, "This is going to change our lives." And they just laughed at me. And about a month or two later, they were not laughing anymore. So, and just since then, the paranormal stuff come back. I had to help my family. Like they were coming and messing with my kids. And I'm like, "Not today, Satan. We can't do this." And not obviously Satan, but like it was something dark, very dark. So it's been most of my life, but predominantly COVID, since COVID 2020. 2019, actually.
Okay. Did you guys see me? Were we there the whole time? Because something happened to our side. You guys disappeared. Everybody disappeared.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
No, we're good.
You saw us talking? Like,
We're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, we could see you.
Yeah, I think you were like messing with the camera or something.
Oh no, my
Oh.
light fell on my keyboard, and then everything just went.
yeah, all the screens went black.
Yeah.
Mm,
No, you're good. You're good.
interesting. But yeah, talking about booger men, the boogers. That's what we call them here in Appalachia.
Booger.
Yep. Not the boogers, but the boogers.
You saw me. Okay.
But yeah, that's it's been a ride. And I didn't have the support. I didn't have like people that knew. I just watched ghost hunting shows ever since they came out. Like that was my thing to do on Friday night when I got home from work, was watch ghost hunters and ghost adventures. So the paranormal has been a huge part of my life, at least for half of my life.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Same.
Love it.
Yeah.
And it's just, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say like when did you start with like say doing astrology? Like how was it because of paranormal, or like you were just I was always like
I'm not even
tarot
touching
and astrology myself.
We're gonna
So
mess it up again.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting because basically, how can I say this? My cousin left a book that was about this thick, and she was my mother's first cousin, my second cousin. So she's just a few years younger than my mother. She left this book about this thick when I was 11 years old at my house. And yeah, I just picked it up and I started reading it, and it was an astrology book. And I was like, because this was before cell phones. I was like the last generation not to have high-speed internet, I guess you could say, or anything like that. So we literally like played outside and stuff, or we did play Super Nintendo, but I read the book and I tried to teach myself. And by the time I was 12, I was not casting the full charts, like with all the lines, it looks kind of wild and crazy, but I was able to figure out like, okay, well, this is my birthday and this is where my moon is and all that kind of stuff. So I started then, and I just kept up with like horoscopes throughout my life until about, I think I started picking astrology back up like full time, probably 3 or 4 years ago, right around 2021, about 2021. And I started taking a couple astrology classes. As far as classes and stuff, that's all I've ever taken. So yeah, about 2021 is really when I dived deep.
Nice.
All right. With astrology, I mean, it's so vast. It's so much.
It's a lot.
Different
Yeah.
types. I mean, that shit is forever. It's literally like a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kindred had a question. He said, "Did your psychic abilities come naturally, or did you have to practice to get more into?"
They come.
Good question.
They come naturally, but I think everybody has to practice. If it's some people, they come on like wham bam, you know, they're there. Some people are gradual, and then no matter what, I think a psychic or a medium has to practice, because the difference between a psychic and a psychic medium is a psychic picks up on energetic impressions and stuff like that, and they can see things, right? But a psychic medium communicates with things from another place. So like I'm able to actually have conversations to a degree, but it's not like this. It's telepathically. So when I do all of my work, it sounds crazy and wild, but it's like, you know, you tune into a certain energy. Like if I was to tune into somebody's grandmother, for example, then she will tell me certain things. She will show me pictures. There's a form of communication, and it's not necessarily done out loud. That's another thing between ghost hunting and like psychic stuff. Like I don't have to ask those questions out loud. That happens internally. But everybody, I think, has to practice at the very least to learn how to hone in and control them, because psychic abilities out of control can cause harm.
So are you a psychic medium or psychic?
Psychic medium.
Psychic medium. I have to ask, because I heard a lot of different people say that. Can you talk to your past loved ones or your loved ones?
It's different. You can.
Okay.
But it's different.
It's different. Okay.
Yeah, there is a barrier there, because most of the time when you are communicating with somebody that you have an emotional attachment to, it is a little different. Like like my grandmother, my mama's mama, like something will happen. I'll be around my mom. I hear her laugh, and I can get a gist of like, she's watching over us, right? Yeah. And I can see when she's laughing at us and stuff like that. And if it's something that I have done, like with past like family members, but the closer you are to somebody, the harder it is to do the work, because you're so emotionally invested. But the interesting thing is the way that you really tap in is through emotions.
Right.
It's fascinating because, it all starts with a thought. It all starts with a connection, a thought, which thoughts create energy. Our thoughts literally leak out and create our aura and our magnetic field. And, the way we feel, emotions is everything. When it comes to the paranormal, the people that I deal with most of the time that have any type of paranormal activity, 100% of the time, 99% of the time is trauma. Nobody just walks in somewhere and gets an attachment for no absolute reason. Or, they say attachments come home with you. You don't just walk in and grab an attachment for no reason. They literally hide in the cracks of your trauma.
Right.
It's wild.
And also, if you're depressed, right? Like you're depressed, or you.
Oh yeah, because
they can latch onto you.
They want to latch onto that lower vibe,
vibe.
Yeah, and they can only latch. Now, granted, they can mess with your chakras, but your real deal attachments don't always have to be inside of the body. They literally can be in your auric field or like your magnetic field. But then there's things that say, our magnetic field can exist infinitely, right? And or it can at least exist 10 feet or present. There's different layers. It's kind of like a cake or kind of like a book. We have different layers. So these attachments can exist within different layers. Some people have them physically inside of them. I've seen people that had attachments that expel them, like with physical material matter. So it's all kinds of stuff. Like you can have it that deep, or you can have something that kind of like tells about 10 feet away from you all the time and is constantly watching you, and then only can mess with you when you sleep. Like there's just so many layers to the paranormal. And that is why that's my first love, is the paranormal. That's why I help people from basically all around the world to get an idea of like, where does this seed, how does this keep feeding off of you? You have to cut that.
So, okay, so I'm gonna ask both of you because Jen, I know you have some abilities too. How do you know if something's attached to you?
So as far as there's different, okay, the paranormal is so vast and mysterious, but there are predictable things that you can look out for, and it happens over time. Attachments aren't necessarily immediate, but it's different for everybody. They can have certain odd pains, like you go to the doctor and you've had everything ruled out, right? And this is just one example because there'll be more that go along with this, but let's say you're having like bad stomach pain and you've been to the doctor for 5 years and you can't figure it out, but you're also having things move around your house and you're having nightmares or you're being physically touched. Like there's just so many different things and everybody is different. Like a lot of people, one of my cases, she was being dragged out of bed at night and she would see things over her and she'd wake up with bruises and all that kind of stuff. And we had to like get that unattached to the trauma. And a lot of times it's very deep trauma that people have to work through and it takes time. Like some of my cases, one of them can be addiction. I had a relapse case, somebody that didn't touch a substance in 15 years and then relapsed, went into a haunted location behind their house. And it while they were messed up on that real uppity stuff, I'm going to keep it PG, the real uppity stuff everybody's doing, that's very dangerous. Like it creates thought forming entities. Yeah. I believe so. Yeah. The Walter White, the show, what's it called? Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Listen, I love that show. Okay.
Yeah. And that stuff opens you wide up.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen. That ended crazily, but it ended well. Far as I know, no news is good news. Some people are like, I'll get cases and people are like, oh my God, please help me. And then I reach out to them and I never hear from them again. And then some people like they run, I call them runners. They run, but then like a couple weeks later, they come back. Then some people are ready to take charge and like, they're all about it. And then they don't follow up with what they've got to do. That's why when I go into a case, I do all my paranormal work for free. I'll accept donations if they want to give me them, but I can't charge people for their suffering. Like I just won't. There's no balance there for me with that. Right. It's an equivalent energy exchange. But yeah, totally. It's all kinds of craziness that can go along with it. All those paranormal symptoms and things y'all have heard about, take that and then compartmentalize them into different scenarios. And it can be an attachment. That can be the attachment. Sometimes, though, it can be physical illness. That's the attachment. That's where I was going with like the stomach pains or the back pain. But then, you go see a Reiki healer. They help you through that kind of stuff. And then you, over time, release that. Right. I remember when I released mine. Right. It was like come out as a breath out of my solar plexus area. And it was like this nasty taste. Like I forgave all the hate and all the nasty and everything. I was laying in bed one night and I was going through like my awakening and stuff. And I asked God to take it from me. And I just took like this deep breath and I coughed and I went, and I had this nasty taste in my mouth and I felt 100 pounds lighter.
Wow. And
that was how it went for me. But yeah, I've got some other stories I'll save, but that's just one example or several, I guess.
That's great. You're giving me I hope you don't take this offense, charm vibes. Have you seen that show? I love that fucking show. You're giving me
I've seen it on and off.
Right? Has anybody told you that? Yeah, I love that show.
I've been called that. Yes, I do. I don't classify myself as a I guess you say a witch, right? But if close enough, I do work with herbs and I use crystals and I do all that kind of stuff. But you know why you're getting that vibe? I think you're kind of intuitive too, because I come from a long line, evidently, from what I've been told, water witches. So really? I come from a long line of like mountain witches or water witches. And matter of factly, 2 weeks ago at the 𝐴𝐕𝑡 Clinic Center 𝐴𝐕𝑡 Clinic Center Parafest, I met another medium that lives very close to me. She's fantastic. Her name's Kerr, the medium, and she's on TikTok a lot. And she did a reading for me, and she rings a bell. And that's how she pulls forward the information, like to pull in the spirits. And I closed my eyes and I tuned into that ringing because I'd heard her ring it all day with her clients. And I asked my guides to step forward, and I felt them come up on both sides of me like a wind. And when she was like, "Whew," and I didn't say a word, she's like, "Whoa." She's like, "A lot of your guides are female." And she's like, "It's almost like a coven." So I was like, "All right, so you're not wrong."
Yeah, I don't know. I look at you and I'm like, give me those freaking chart. I love that show. Love. You watch it, Chaz?
Yeah.
I never did.
You
I
never
know of
watched
it,
it?
but
Oh,
I never got.
man.
I don't know what the hell was going on in my life at that time when that shit was out. I might have been watching like Jersey Shore or something. I don't know. Whatever. I have no idea.
Yeah,
But I know of it because it blew up. And like Supernatural, like I want to go back and watch Supernatural because I never got to watch it back then.
I never did either.
I never
Yeah,
watched it.
but I heard it's like really good. And then
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched it.
tap into there. I don't know. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. I want to get their tattoo, the charm tattoo. I want me and my girls to get all matching tattoos because I love it that much.
That would be so cute. I did
Yeah.
watch some of it. I lost, like, we didn't, growing up, like, I didn't have TV at some points either. Like, we had a television, but like I grew up fairly poor, like pretty
Yeah.
poor with my family. But my grandmother, she was middle class, like not, so I had like I led a double life in a way. So
Yeah.
I'd go over there on the weekends or for Christmas and get kind of all kinds of things I want, but I'd go home and we'd be like extremely, it was weird. It was a weird life. It's almost like I lived two lives. I feel like I've already lived a whole life and now I'm starting over again. But I think that comes with like age because I'm coming up on 40 in a couple of years, and
You're young. I wish I was on 40. I'm coming up on the next 10 digits.
Well, you can't tell, girl.
Oh, you're
You can't
so
tell.
sweet.
This is my hormonal fan. Ignore it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like,
real quick before I lose the question, Dantex wanted to know: is that the same as a natal chart?
Yeah, your natal chart is your birth astrology chart. Yep.
Oh my God.
So that is astrology.
Yes, Dantex.
Thank you, Jen, for keeping up with the questions because I can't. The screen's so small, I can't see them. I might pull it up on my tablet. See if I can see. I hope see them too.
You can't see. Oh, your screen's small.
No, yeah.
I'm on a phone. Yeah, I'm on a phone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up on YouTube. There we go.
Oh wow. Do you have any questions, honey?
No, I'm absorbing the information.
Okay. I was gonna ask, when did you learn? So another thing you do too is you can remotely pick up on what's on locations, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you learn that when did you figure that out?
That's hard to say. I would probably say 2020 or 2021. Like I would always get these images in my mind and I really thought that was normal. Right. And I guess it is for everybody, somewhat normal, but probably 2020, 2021. I don't know. I really can't tell you how it started because these experiences just started happening and happening. I didn't know, what was going on. I just kind of fell into it and I found some people online and, that's a good question. I'm going to have to go back and see if I can figure that out, but it had to be around 2021. So, it's just your spirit. It's like, I feel like my spirit team helps me a lot with that. I cannot take credit for everything that I do, right? My spirit team, higher benevolent beings, God, however you want to look at that, helps me with this. So I'm a medium just between, we can easily say heaven and earth. I'm just the point of contact, and they really take care of business when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because to remote view a location, generally, like if somebody starts to tell me a story, and you don't even have to say like a whole full sentence. If there's something paranormal there, I will automatically tap in and pick up. And if I tap in that quick and pick up, then you've got a problem. Most recently, like I finally got one completely on video, live, I'd say 3 weeks ago, because I've been doing this now for at least 3 years and consciously aware of it at least. And I finally got it. It was a skeptic's home. And I actually got to meet him last night. Very sweet fella. But they live in an old orphanage. The home was built in like the early 1900s. But I described like the bedroom where he heard like a little girl's voice, and it was literally like, it depends. Sometimes it's like a visual travel, like I'll jump, but sometimes I'm just kind of teleported there in my mind. I don't have to 100% be in a meditative state. It can be just like this. So it's like I split in half, and my brain, one side of my brain's talking to you while the other side of my brain is like in this other space, but I can still see. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Sometimes I have visions driving down the road, but I'm not going to wreck the car. You know, it's not something where I'm having to like, you know, sit there like this. But yeah, I saw the bedroom. My perspective, I was sitting on the bed. I saw the black shadow go by the window. I saw the window. I saw the bluish green, like street light outside shining in. I saw the church. I saw the railroad tracks, and it's validated on my Luminary Luna Beams channel. I put the clip in there, and then they continued to validate it. That's just like would be the best example I could give recently, but I can just kind of pick up the environment. I've also done work for Emily before in her house and I'm pretty close to Emily. We chat almost every day, even if it's just like a, hey, F you, bye type stuff. Not like that, but you know, just we mess around and pick back and forth with each other, even if it's not like a full conversation, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I was doing work for her, and the vision was fairly intense, and I felt her cold hardwood floors on my feet. And I live 2 states away. So it still fascinates me. Like, it's not something that I planned on doing. It's not something, I call it definitely remote viewing. It's not like astral travel to me. Astral travel to me has a different meaning. Some people would associate it with that, but it's not, in my opinion. I'm going to share this out real fast for you guys too. Tell everybody I'm live.
Do you had a question real quick? Joy, were you gonna ask something?
For me?
No, Joy.
No.
No.
I think
It sounds like
No, I can't multitask.
Joy.
I'm so bad. So if you see me drifting off, either I'm writing down my question or I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just all over the place.
And say like when she did my chart, we talked a little bit about experiences I had here at the home. So she told me she told me like the same thing. I was like, I don't know, like kind of validating what we had experienced here at that time. And then she told me how to clear. Oh, I'll ask that later. But what was maybe the strongest thing or the scariest entity you maybe had to experience that you saw in other people's, like, that they were dealing with, that maybe you had to help clear out? Was there anything that like stuck?
Yeah. I've got several, and I'm trying to think of one that I've told one last week, but I'm trying to think if I can think of another one that might be better. No, we're just going to go with this. This one was real and scary because I've experienced a whole lot. But the ones that stick out to me specifically was the most powerful event I had when I realized that I could actually go into these places and remotely clear them with the help of the client, because it always is a two-way street. I make that very clear every time that, you know, I try to help somebody, because then I've had people come back and get like, hey, this ain't working. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in your house? Are you doing stuff you need to be doing too? I'm not the key here to fix everything. I say that very clearly now because we've had people, do things. But so I was helping a client, and she's actually she shared my stuff before. She's I can't say her name though, I don't think. She's got a following, we'll say that. And she had some stuff going on. I felt like the hate being sent to her, and there was a thought form there. And when I went to go in and clear her house, I'd walk through and just see, like, literally this thing ran into a portal into her wall, and I ran after it into the portal and grabbed it. Like, I know this sounds wild. If I heard this shit, I'm sorry. If I heard this stuff come out of my mouth, like, 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have sent me to the loony bin, but that's visually what I saw. And I was standing in my room over here, and like the portals in the house popped up around me in 3D with my eyes open. So while I was like moving energy, because there's a way that you can like move energy remotely, it's something that just came natural. And then I saw, like, I come across other mediums doing the same thing I'm doing. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, because a lot of the stuff is like I've learned by just literally my connection with spirit. I have like it's kind of like an open book. And again, I know this sounds wild, but it is. I learned from spirit. And I just started closing the portals, and I won't go into super detail of how to do that, because I think, if people hear me say it, it can be very dangerous. You don't want to just go chasing entities, and, this is not, it sounds really cool or it sounds really crazy, but if you think it's really cool, it's actually really dangerous, because I have actually suffered consequences of this, because things can find a way back because you create energy threads. And, but yeah, it popped up around me in 3D, and it was like all in black and white. He was all in black and white, but he was like a sharp, he had no face, right? It was black, but he had like a black and white suit on. And I started closing down the portals in the house with, energy movements, and like kind of like 11 from Stranger Things. That's the only thing I know how to, that's the only thing I know how to relate it to. But
Another good show.
yeah, it was great. It's a great show. I'm ready for the last season.
I know.
We all are.
But
Speaking
yeah, I
for-
know,
Yeah,
right?
you said it to me.
Yeah, I got to do something with my kids for that, because they make it a big thing. They get real into it. So might have like a little Stranger Things watch party when it comes out. But
Yeah.
Nice.
I went in after this guy and basically captured him. My team did, because I have beings of light is the easiest way to explain it. And they kind of got him and put him in a white room. It was a solid white dimensioned room, and he sat there, and that's when he started talking to me. And like, you wasn't supposed to see me, but it wasn't an entity. It was a thought form. And I think it was created by somebody, either the client or somebody sent it to her, because her content is triggering to a lot of people. And it's nothing inappropriate.
What is a thought form? That's the first time.
Thought forms are...
Yeah.
So thought forms are created from poltergeist activity, PK manifestations, or from an individual. So, or somebody that practices certain occult things, like, witches. You can create, if you put enough intent into something, or your fears can create thought forms. If you're a highly so if you have like, for example, let's use 11 from Stranger Things. With all that thought form stuff she has, she can create something out of it, like a being, and we do that. We also lose pieces of our soul, I have found over time. This has been over the last 2 years. I would see spirits that aren't just residual energy. They act like residual energy, and then there's a difference. Like when you have such an emotional experience, you can actually fractal out your soul, and that's something Spirit was telling me about. And then I find other mediums talking about it over time. So the things that I've been taught, I've found validation from all kinds of places, because I've never had a full-fledged teacher, and now I'm teaching myself, and it's literally thanks to divine benevolent beings. That's the only way I know how to explain it. It sounds wild. I know it sounds crazy, but this is it's words. Like, I get validation from my clients. Like, I just go with what I'm told. It's peaceful. I don't have paranormal activity like that anymore. Like, I don't deal with any of that anymore. I've learned that, dark things are only as dark as you let them be.
Right.
You mentioned you had lingering effects from things you've experienced. Like, can you let
Sure.
us know what them, or if you don't mind?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Spiritual attacks come. Like, you can be fine if you've messed with something dark, and not as in like, a Ouija board or anything like that. I mean, like, trying to help people. They don't like that, especially things that have never actually breathed on Earth. And they're a lot stronger than just an earthbound spirit. Sometimes you come across what I refer to as a descended earthbound spirit, and they can, they can manipulate things. The longer they're here, the more they learn how to manipulate energy, because at the end of the day, it gets into like the quantum physics. If you can associate anything with the paranormal and the way our brains think and all that kind of stuff, think of quantum physics and how there's different dimensions, right? Well, they can literally, once they're in what I call, this is just the names I call it, the mirror realm, they can actually manipulate stuff because this realm is so super close to our realm. And I've had scratches. I've been how can I say this? Spiritually attacked. So one of the ways is like I've never really had anxiety attacks at all whatsoever, but I've worked cases where like they attack your chest. Matter of fact, that the spirit in one of the locations on premises last night tried to make me feel that way, and it actually made my heart skip a beat. Like, I mean, some things are very strong. But you get like anxiety attack, you can't breathe. You also have nightmares. When I did my first, my really big first haunted object thing, I've dealt with haunted objects, but not like this. And now Duran from Dead Serious Investigations actually owns that object. I had him take it, or I asked him to take it, and he took it gratefully. I was visited in my sleep. I was like in between asleep and awake, and the grudge girl was all like standing at the foot of my bed like this, and she grabbed my knee. I've helped clear people's houses, and then you just have these like a series of unfortunate events happen. Like it's just like 30 minutes after I cleared somebody's house, my fiance had a box of OxyClean bust in his face out of nowhere at work. Or like when I started this, my son was running down the hallway and said the dog pushed him, but the dog didn't jump on him. He fell down and like hit his leg. Like things like that used to happen quite frequently when I first started, but still can. And you can also pick up that energy. Like some people have to like transmute that energy, and you have to raise your consciousness to a certain level to communicate with higher vibrational beings as a psychic medium. But then on the opposite end, I'm not necessarily lowering my vibration as in like getting negative to communicate with anything, but it's a different energy, right? And you start dabbling around in the different energies, and it can be dangerous, and you can get physically, mentally, emotionally hurt. I've hit periods of depression after clearing people's houses where I wouldn't talk to nobody for a month. And like, this was a while back, but that's all part of the process of learning and not having a teacher. I highly recommend people to get a teacher, but I realize that that's not always possible. Some psychic mediums are like, you don't do this without a teacher. You shouldn't, you never should. And I get that, but some people are faced without a choice. And that was me. So I'm the product of that. I've every time that I get a client, there's something relatable about them. There's something I went through in my life. And, you have all these people out here fighting for clients in my realm of things. And competition really doesn't exist because the people that are meant to come to us for help it's already set up. It's already in the book, like the book, so to speak. It's already there in the Akashic records. And that's what we do. We tap certain people. We tap into the Akashic records to retrieve information. And we don't know everything because we're human too. Like what I say sounds like a Pokemon video, but it's my life and it's been wild. And when you get so much validation, like for the things that you do, you just learn to trust that gut feeling. And go with it. I say these things, if the right doctor might try to lock me up, but when you say these things that come out of your mouth and your client's like, oh my God, that's exactly what I saw. And then, you're like, okay, all right. And that's how it started. I just kept leaning into it. And sometimes you get hurt. It's all kinds of ways emotionally. Demonic things like to talk to you, or at least me in my head. They'll say things, nasty things, and what they do is I call it intrusive thoughts. A lot of people walk around with intrusive thoughts all day, but they talk real dark and negative, and they'll try to get in that way, and that's how they get your self-esteem down. That's how you get an attachment.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's also mental. For me, it's mental. Like I have to tune it out once I leave a location. Otherwise, I'm manifesting it in a way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I try to tell people is like, you gotta tune it out. Like you want it to be a demon, it's gonna be a demon. You know what I mean? It's like you're manifesting it to your stuff.
100.
Yeah, is what I tell people.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the best way to look at it, and it's just like last night they went into one of the houses and they're like, something super dark here, and it was hateful, it was mean, it like put pressure on my chest. I started feeling the way they passed away, and I saw it differently than it was explaining itself. So it was just actually a human spirit that was really nasty and pissed. Wasn't demonic or anything. I don't think they necessarily thought that. I just think that was what was coming through the spirit box. But I stayed away and ate peanut butter M&Ms, or no, just regular peanut M&Ms. It was like, this is my downtime. I'm just, setting up my fiddling around with my little equipment, my little 3 cat balls and my EMF meter and my little book, just getting my groove.
Yeah, I completely understand. I'll sneak off, grab like 4 or 5 M&Ms, pop them, and keep going.
Yeah. Gotta have that downtime, especially for me, because the information can be so overwhelming. But I hope to the listeners some of this is making sense, at least. It sounds wild, but this experiences I've had.
You ever keep logs of like things that you're doing, and then when you get attacked or any lingering like residual energies that are just lingering, like maybe what you were doing, what's happening, and probably what you think caused it?
Yes. So I've got a lot better over the last couple years about having case files. So I would record sometimes, and sometimes I wouldn't. And I at least write notes, either handwritten or on my computer. But as of this year, I've started recording everything. I don't just write it down on pieces of paper and put it in. I have like journals and books with stuff, but then I also have like cases logged. But yes, there is a repeatable pattern. Like, it sounds like you're asking me about to see patterns wise. 100%. Paranormal can be predictable when you know what you're dealing with. And does unpredictable things still happen? Absolutely. Right. But when it comes to helping people, I almost have a formula that I have to follow. And if I get to a certain point with that client and that formula doesn't work, I have another route to take. Or, in my spirit guides, higher benevolent beings guide me with each individual, because people say, and this is just what my clients have said, by talking to me like about these issues and stuff, or connecting with their past relatives or all that, it's like they have that weight lifted off of them. Yeah. And it's not anything that I'm doing. I'm just sitting there, compassion, love, and pulling in messages from spirit. And it's helping heal people through my words. And I mean, I believe that's possible. And, I've had to accept that fact, but it comes from a place of being humble. Like, you have to be so humble and not really, I had to get to the point where I was like, Chastity, this is your job. You have to charge people because, you've got to make a living and feed your family. Right. I didn't want to do that. If I ever got to the point where things were wild and crazy, and I was able to do this, that, and the other, I would do everything that I do for free. If I could do it for free, I would. I did it for free for 2 years before I ever even started charging anybody, but because I felt guilty, because I was like, this is such a gift, but, and I still do a lot of work off the books.
Is it okay to ask how much do you charge for readings? And
so, I do some things in 30-minute sessions, but generally I always add like 15 minutes on, because obviously I'm long-winded if y'all hadn't figured that out, and I can't get it out in any time. But I guess the podcast did this to me too. But depending on what it is, if it's 1 hour, anywhere from $55 to $65, depending on what. Like my past relative stuff is $40 for 30 minutes, but generally it's like $45. But the reason I charge a little more for astrology stuff is because I work approximately 2 hours, or sometimes 1 to 2 hours before I ever talk to you on your chart. So in comparison to other people, for my area and everything, I know I could charge a lot more, but I want to be able to give everybody an opportunity to have a reading from me.
Right.
So, it's not about the money to me. It really isn't. It's great to be able to, have things, because I am partially disabled. This is my work. I'm not able to physically do like manual labor. And I think I'm not a lazy person. Like I worked multiple jobs. I've graduated from college. Like I did that most of my 20s. I always had, if I wasn't working one job, I had multiple businesses. I used to run an event bartending business, but I basically, where my back got so bad, I couldn't do it. Made me very depressed. It made me, I had to crawl out of a hole, and crawling out of the hole of depression and, not really even, well, yeah, I guess you could say anxiety, but mainly just like I'm worthless. I can't do anything anymore. This was the other end of that. Yeah. And if it wasn't for the problems I have with my back, I might have never done this because I was such a workaholic.
Yeah.
But it's a blessing. Like it sucks in a way, but it's a blessing.
Yeah. You found something you love doing. So
it's my purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Snowfall had a question.
Hey, Snowfall.
You see it there on the screen?
Yes. Snowfall, what type of person determines on whether or not you're earthbound spirit? Well, it's more of an individual choice and a free will choice, unless, like, for example, some people I've seen that are earthbound spirits are people that have fear of judgment. Like they have fear that they're going to burn in hell forever, then because of actions they did. It's generally based on actions, pain, and suffering. People that have pain and suffering and these big things they just can never get through. And I'm not talking about like, things like, small things, big things. It's all about that. But, some people are just scared to go to the light. That's on the easy end of it. That's why you'd be an earthbound spirit. We have free will even when we pass away. It took me a while to really like grasp that because, of the conditioning that we had. But, it just depends. It's free will and how much you decided to hold on. I've learned this. It's about forgiveness, and it's not forgiveness. We don't have to ask the divine for forgiveness. They do nothing but admit love, right? Mm-hmm. We have to forgive ourselves, and we have to forgive the people that hurt us, because if we hold on to that bitterness, it lowers our vibration, right? And then a lower vibration attracts lower vibrational people, person, place, thing, everything. People talk about like, oh my God, that's so low vibration. Like that's not how it works though. We have a baseline vibration, and we are allowed, this is one of the principles I teach. We got to ride the wave, right? We ride the wave. And I use that a lot because in between that wave, if basic graphs, you have that medium point. You have that baseline. It's okay to be sad. I've had to learn from years, I suffered certain types of abuse and stuff like that. And that's how I'm able to relate to some of my clients. And I've had to learn that, it's okay to feel your feelings. Like you don't have to be tough all the time. It's okay to cry. It's okay to get mad and throw something every once in a while. It's not all about being love and light, which is my other joke. I got it from a coffee mug. It's like I'm love and light and everything nice, but I'm sage and hood and wish them would, right? So it's okay to be that way sometimes. We have to feel. I'm not telling y'all to go out here and start a riot. I'm just saying, feel your feels.
Do you think spirits, once you pass, you have a choice to stay earthbound, or is it kind of like a...
Sometimes it's built into our soul. I think yes, I think you do. In short, yes. But generally most people don't want to, and 90%, I would say just a rough average, this isn't, matter of factly, but it's just like, 90% of people at the very least, if not 95, go to the light. Yeah. And then, they do their life review and stuff like that. But yeah.
So I think people like the bad people that were bad in their life, like, murderers, pedophiles, blah, blah, do they have a choice whether they go to hell, or is it automatic? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think happens?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one because, according to astrology, according to astrology, we all have a life path, but we all have a choice of free will, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's said, and like this is Rochelle's point of view, and I'll relay this because I can agree with it. We are meant to come here. Sometimes we're meant to experience or be the person that does bad things to people for our soul's growth, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a certain vibration that's emitted from a person that committed mass murders. And there's a lot of times there's certain like entities that attach to these people. They all have this tuning into like a serial killer energy. They all have the same vibration, and it's so weird. And they manifest and create different things. And it's almost like the part of them that was evil. Like if you have an attachment and you pass away, it doesn't automatically mean you're going to hell. And an attachment can make you a bad person, and what we would consider morally horrible. So it's almost like sometimes that horrible person rather stays behind, and then the purity of the soul ascends, because that's my personal opinion. Do people, the whole like getting dragged, I'm a firm believer in a place called hell, but is it like everybody says it could be? Definitely. I've had a lot of experiences way back in the day. I'm getting pain in the back of my head talking about it.
Sorry.
It's going through my.
Yeah, we could change the subject. I don't want you to be affected.
No. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's interesting. I don't know if anybody in the chat or if anybody has pains like on this side of their head, just put a thumbs up or something, because I don't know if that was just me or.
Yeah, no, I had a headache, but it went away. I was getting a headache.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. No, I'm good talking about it. I don't let things, even if something was, I don't let them. I'm in, like, if I was out in public like last night and somewhere it's not my space, I will politely leave. But if it wants to come here, it's going to have a problem. Okay, so we ain't playing games today,
right? You're like that. Okay, so Native Pride Paranormal had a question. I don't know if you can see it. It says, do you believe that mimics are interdimensional?
They can be. I mean, spirits can. I think most well, you can consider ghosts being interdimensional, but when we're talking about going into other places, mimics can be to get your attention, depending on what their purpose is. But mimics also could be like an elemental spirit. So you have elementals too, and elementals, people think elementals are bad. No, there's great and neutral elementals that just live their little lives in their little elemental places, or whatever you want to call it. You have positive and negative, but I don't know why, I just feel like elementally about that question. But yeah, they can. The spirits can do so many different things, and there's so many different types of spirits. Like, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
And the point of, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, like, since you were talking about, like, say, like, we were talking about the bad spirits and being in locations where you might feel like you want to leave or whatever. Do you have anything that you do, or any oh my God, what's the best way? Like, any technique you want to share about for cleansing or protection, as far as for like paranormal investigators? Because a lot of people here probably are paranormal investigators. Like,
that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, you can do several things. You can basically get, like, there's essential oils you can buy online. Anything you want to do to clear and protect yourself, you can do. You're the one actually initiating the protection measures. Whatever your belief system is, that's great. You can ask for protection from your guides, right? Or the God, or whatever you believe in, right? And then you can also carry stones. I would prefer, if I was going to go ghost hunting, I had like a few stones in my pocket. I had black tourmaline and clear quartz, among some other ones, but those are like two that are very powerful, because the clear quartz is going to amplify the black tourmaline. I always start off with a prayer, my own personal prayer, or whatever you want to call that. There's different forms of prayer. And then I say that, and of course, like, everybody states out loud, or you're supposed to, you're not supposed to follow me home. Setting that boundary is really good. You can always bring like a stick of sage with you and sage yourself, I just got some holy water. I don't think I might be able to show y'all. I still have my bag on the bed. Oh, I just got some holy water that I used last night. Yep. So it's in a bigger bottle. It's from Jerusalem, from the Jordan River. They bought it and had it shipped here down south. Supernatural did. So when we were at the Parafest, but this is what I did. I literally said out loud, nobody follow. You're not allowed to follow me home. You need to stay here. And then I literally took the holy water and I put it on my third eye, right? But when I use holy water or holy oil, I put it on my chakras. So I put it here, 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 and then your diaphragm right around your belly button, and then you can do it at your tailbone, or you can do it like well, we're all, I guess, mostly grown here between your belly button and your privates, like that area right dead in the middle. That's your root chakra. You can do it at your tailbone. If you want extra protection, you can do all of your chakras with holy water, holy oil, or even essential oils that have been blessed. You can put it on both shoulders, okay, and they're both hips, and then both ankles. So theoretically, you're creating and I even put it on the back of my neck sometimes. If you use the cross as part of your symbolism, you can do a cross on your third eye. But yeah, that's one way you can do it. And again, you can do it with holy water, holy oil, protection, stuff like that, instead of having, because like the place I was at last night allowed no open flame. So we couldn't I couldn't do my sage or anything. So that's, yeah.
So yeah.
And you push out the light, when you pray, if you can visualize like a light bubble, ask for God's love and light, or spirit's love and light, however you want to say it. You're, the God of your understanding, gold and white light around you pushing out. Like if you don't have anything at all, just simply stating your boundaries and really meaning it. Like,
Yeah.
Intention.
And some things come. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I use cologne.
So
Hey.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hey. It could work. That's the whole point. It's our intentions and what we put into it. This right here just helps me solidify my intentions. Just like when I make my clearing candles or I make moon water sprays. Like I'm trying to freaking get my little printer set up because I've got a product line. I make jewelry. We've been making jewelry since 2020, a Treasure Tree and Company. And we do resin art with like real crystals and real mushrooms and real flowers and make all kinds of different stuff. So like I've got a lot going on and a lot that, I can help and offer to people for clearings and cleansings. It's just, I'm just one person. It's just so hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Man, I can imagine Joey with the bottle of cool water.
And for real.
Right.
This place is cleansed.
Ghost be gone.
The power of Christ compels you.
He's like, you ain't coming. Jesus.
He gets in the ghost eye, and the ghost
Yeah,
get it on
yeah.
camera like this.
Somebody
I like that
comes
smell.
after us. What's that smell? Do you smell that smell?
That ghost is out.
Yeah. No evidence for the rest of the night.
There you go.
Joy ruined the investigation.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Because the ghost was traumatized by the Old Spice aftershave or something from the
God.
1960s.
That he has.
Smells like fruit.
Smells like
Yeah.
That's bullshit right there.
Yeah.
The ghost
A
man.
green bottle
Yes.
with a super long ass neck.
We'll just bring the ass spray with us. You know that fart smell shit?
Oh, liquid ass.
Liquid ass.
Yeah.
I'll give him
I
one.
can't hear anybody out.
That's bringing it back to the early episodes of Swoop Coast to Coast.
The beginning of Spook Coast to Coast. We had,
Yeah, with native pride said ghost mace. We're gonna call it liquid ass ghost mace.
Oh,
He said, what it was? I forget. He just said it. What was it called?
liquid
And
ass.
this
Liquid ass.
Ghost mate? Old Spice, me?
No.
No.
I said we
I
just
kind of zoned out for a second.
yeah. I said we just
Joey,
bring the
if you
liquid
could
ass.
pass
And the
this
native,
Oh, yeah.
and the native
We've
pride
come across
said.
new guests in the chat. Joey, please enlighten us.
What?
About the liquid ass?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was in
yeah.
an earlier episode.
We can all use a refresher.
Oh yeah, I used to put it in my son's room, thinking it was a bad pipe.
So we had major plumbing issues at our house, right? Where we had to spend, they had to dig up the pipes, the drains, and it was really big, a really, really big job. So anyway, after we got it done, he didn't tell me at first. He kept spraying the smell or this fart spray, and I said, "We just got the fucking pipes." Excuse my language. We just got the fucking pipes done. Like we got to call him back out here. I didn't even know until one day he told me, right? So then I'm like, okay. So then he was doing it to our son. And our son was like, I was like, John, what the heck is that smell?
Yeah, I would literally go to his room while he's playing video and go under the door and spray it.
For like months, okay, months. We didn't tell him that it was this liquid ass. We made him to believe it was the fucking toilets or the pipes. He's like, Mom, I'm moving out. He's 26. He's like, Mom, I'm moving out. I can't deal with this.
I do it at my job too, in the hallway.
So funny.
They just think it's you.
Did your freaking flush? Is there, did your toilet back up?
Oh my God.
He was so convinced. It was the
I love it.
We're asshole parents.
Hey, Chaz, I want to ask, what part of the chart is it just for, like, say for, I know Joy's interested in this. What part of the chart is it that tells you like your intuitive side and stuff? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so there's different types of transits and aspects and all kinds of stuff that can happen at the time of birth. So you want to look at the water signs and you look at the different elements, and that's just like a rule of thumb. The easiest way I can say it, you can look at the different elements in your chart and it gives you an idea of like what you could be stronger at. Like your sun sign isn't the only thing. So look at your sun, moon, and rising sign for anybody that wants to have like a good guess, without getting too crazy into it. Whatever your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign is, the moon represents intuition. Okay. It's the feminine. It's the subconscious. The sun is the conscious, the masculine, and like it's on the outside. It's our purpose and, our rising sign is our direction and where we're going. So look at those three signs. The signs for those three things is very common to be able to find. And then look at your moon sign, and that can give you whatever element is associated with that sign. Like I'm a Cancer moon, and that makes me a water sign, which is like the all-encompassing, like flowing energy. And some people like Emily, for example, she's got a lot of earth and a lot of air in her. So she's very clairsentient, which some of us have balances too. So the good rule of thumb is to measure it by the moon sign, to keep it simple. But when you get in there, there's different planetary alignments, and it can be associated with things like Neptune represents intuition and dreams. So wherever Neptune falls in your chart, and then you add like 5 more things onto that, and we can get really deep into it and like go that way. But really, when it comes down to it, just like layman, easy way to find out kind of what your strong suit would be potentially, because this is a potential. It's not set in stone, but it's a good possibility. Like your strongest gift will be what your sun, moon, and rising sign is. So it might be double water, air, or double earth, moon. So there's different meanings with water, earth, air, and fire. Like fire represents clairvoyancy. And you got empathy with water, being empathic and stuff like that.
So how do you find out what's your like water sign or earth?
Google, right?
What your sign is?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're coming to an astrologer, you will have to go on. You could go on Google, and Google it. And there's different websites, like Astro Cafe or something like that, maybe. But I use Luna Astrology for me. It's $5 a month, and it's got minimal details. It gives me just like the chart and the information, and I can do different things with it, right? But it doesn't have like all the meat. Like if I have a question, then I have to study it. Let me see if I can pull it up.
So is it like based on your birthday or your sign?
Yeah, your birthday.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Your time, like the time you were born. I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, all I know is I'm an Aries, and that's it.
I don't remember. Well, I don't remember when I was born.
That's all I know.
My moon is Pisces. I'm a Capricorn, and my rising is Virgo.
Yeah, so double earth, water. So you have that intuitive flow, empathy, like you have all that. You can pick up on subtle signs. Like you have the flow with the Pisces. That's the ocean. That's represented by the ocean. So you have to be able to interpret it fully. You have to know what each sign and symbol means. Like think about it this way. I'm going to show you this if I can. It might let me. Maybe. Sorry, it's got all fingers, but it's a circle. So inside this circle, there's a bunch of lines, and I have to interpret all this data. It's basically data. So you have to take the houses, you have to take the zodiac with all the astrologies, the sun, the luminaries, mathematical points. Everything has an archetypical meaning in astrology, and you have to kind of have a decent idea at the very least of how that works, and then know like the degrees. So like you have soft aspects and you have hard aspects. Soft aspects are trines and sextiles, and those are particular degrees. They create smooth flowing energy. But then you have like aspects like squares. Okay, that's a 90-degree cut. A square is like a a hard turn, so it'll be harder energy. So like let's look at today, for example. Right now, April 21st, Vesta is your spiritual light. Everybody has a Vesta asteroid in their chart. That's in the 8th house right now in Pisces. So Vesta, spiritual light, Pisces is represented like a water sign. It's represented by the ocean. They're very internal, subconscious. And it's in the 8th house. So the 8th house means like mysterious, taboo, sex, death, and taxes. So that's like just a general overview of what each one of those means. So I take like that general knowledge that I have, and in this app I can press on Vesta and it shows me the aspects. So there is like a sextile between the sun that's on a descendant sign, between the 6th house of duties and or like daily duties, and I forget the rest right now on top of my head, on the spot. Let me just move on to the 7th house. I know what it is, but it's like, and then 7th house is like your relationships to your business and personal relationships. So, Vesta right now, there's something being highlighted between your daily routines and your health and your relationship. Collectively, people may be thinking about that with their spiritual light in the 8th house. There may be some people, and you take today's chart, which is a transit chart, and put it on top of your birth chart, which creates a whole nother chart, and then you're able to see what's going on in somebody's life.
Okay,
That's the easiest way I can explain it.
I'll just stick with ghost hunting.
Astrology is wild.
It took me a long time. I'm not gonna lie. It did, and it's something if I was to work on every day, I would have got where I am faster. I still consider myself a baby astrologer, but I can interpret it now. Yeah. And there's all kinds of different astrology. Like Jen was saying, like, we got forensic astrology, mundane astrology is about the world, and you just have a lunar astrology, which is kind of what I vibe with. But I do look into mundane astrology. You have predictive astrology, Hooray astrology. It's just fascinating. It's kind of like you can put numerology into it. Like they all intertwine together. But what astrology has taught me is that everything is something I say. We have a destiny. Right? But we have free will. So how does destiny and free will work? Well, you've heard people say that you're in control of the steering wheel of your life. You get to choose where you go. I don't agree with that. I think we're just in control of the gas and the brake because our destiny's already set. The destination's set. We choose how fast or slow that we get there. We choose whether or not, whoa, or we're like full steam ahead. So that's an analogy Spirit gave to me one day. And I just roll with stuff like that, and it makes sense sometimes, I hope.
Or you want to start wrapping up?
Huh?
We were frozen, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. I don't know. I don't know if you noticed us, but we were like.
I didn't. Everybody just got quiet. I thought everybody was just taking a moment. I was just like,
already. We're talking over now.
Even the computer got a headache from all that shit I just told y'all.
You lost me at the house and the left and the right. I was like, whoa, I'll be funny. That's great. My brain can't absorb all that information. That's a lot. Wow.
It's a lot. It's confusing.
It is a lot.
Look into it. Just the houses alone fucking threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
When I first really started trying to look into it, I was like, I'm not gonna learn it. I will just
I'm a Gemini.
Yeah.
I'm an air sign, so it makes my brain move really fast. Yeah. Right? Sometimes my brain can't keep up with my mouth. So I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. So, but it also makes me able to do like split and do two things at one time. I think that's the only way I'm able to do this, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you got to have a good memory, and Lord knows, over the last younger years, I burned a lot of them brain cells.
me
Boy.
too.
So,
I have very good memory, and that's what I was like, nah. I love it for other people, and I love listening. I love listening to it because I listen
I have
to
a bad
astrology stuff
memory. Yeah.
on YouTube, but I just cannot retain.
So
for me.
Native Pride asked, "Have you ever seen someone with a black aura around them?"
I see it, yes, in a certain way. Like sometimes when people have a lot of trauma, or they're kind of like a stinky person, not physically, but in general, like vibrationally, I'll
liquid
see
ass.
or
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That liquid ass sprays. Joey's around.
Joey.
It turns
Sorry,
green.
You have a black aura.
I forgot the cool.
That's what you gotta do. I see a black
Yeah.
aura.
Yeah, for real.
Even that shit would run away from that.
I
Be
know.
black no more.
Be white.
Exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I've seen it, and sometimes it looks like static. So I know this sounds crazy, but I can sometimes I can hear energy sometimes, but not with my ears. It's like how you hear a song. Can any of y'all hear a song in your head sometimes? I don't know if anybody, but you hear it.
All the time.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's like that. It's like that.
I hear sometimes I'll hear what people are gonna say before they even say it, but I don't think I'm any kind of nothing. But I
Right. Well, I think
hear it
you.
before
I
they
think
say it.
you are.
She
I think you are.
You're selling yourself short.
I tell her all the
Yeah,
time. She just doesn't.
yeah. I don't know. But I
Yeah.
there's been a couple times where Armando would say something. I'm like, I knew you were gonna say that, or Joey's gonna say, I pick that up. I hear it, and then they say it. I was like, oh shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if there is, I need to tap into that because I wish I had
I
some
say it,
kind
I
of.
blur it out.
Yeah, I wish
I
I
try to
had
be a
that.
dick. I can't. Then I stop myself. I tried to control that.
About what?
You definitely can. Jen, you
Like-
definitely can.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you?
no, like I try. I've had to years ago. Somebody told me that, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I'm not doing that on purpose. So I've had to stop myself from saying while you're saying the person's gonna say that. I'll finish the person's sentences, and they're like,
Yeah.
be stumped. And I'm just like with coworkers. I'm not trying to do that. I
Do it
just
on purpose.
fucking
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
My brain is like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
That's why I try to stop talking sometimes. I just wait and I just make sure because I don't mean to. It comes so fast. And I think I got a little touch of the ADHD too, just a tad.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. My problem is I cut people off because if I don't say it, I'll forget. So I
Yeah.
spit it out, and I don't mean to be rude, but sometimes it might come off rude, and I have to apologize.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
We all need the hand Jen has. What is that little hand?
I got a fan.
I have a question. No. My question here.
So she's got the hand. I got the fan. Do y'all have a can? You got
I
a
got
can?
a back scratcher.
Did she say butt scratcher?
She got a butt scratcher.
Butt scratcher. Butt scratcher.
I mean, you can scratch your butt with it, I guess, right?
You know that my dad asked me what was Joy. She was like, my dad was like, what does Joy have in her hand? And I was like, oh, that's like a back scratcher.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Can you see it?
no, it's not. And I was like, no, yeah, it is.
Shit, I have them all over the place. I love these things. I have
She has a backup for the backup.
Oh,
oh man, I have a bunch of them. You need
She
to
got
go
one for her, and then she gives one to Joey, and he
They-
works on the other side at the
They
same time.
duel.
I was so desperate. I need one of them some bitches because I was so desperate. I had a straw still wrapped up in the paper. It's thrown away now, but I was like
I used to have
2
one-
nights ago.
I gotta show you guys. You guys are gonna
Native,
laugh.
we're gonna be wrapping up soon, but Native have another question that says, even after setting up boundaries, how can an entity still attack? And he's asking for reasons.
Because it takes time depending on how close an entity is. A lot of times, it's like we move into a house and something's there, but a lot of times the person might be sensitive So you have to learn you have to continually set up those boundaries. People that are sensitive to energies and entities and all kinds of stuff like that, like it's an ongoing process, and it's things that take small amounts of time, but it takes effort and intent. And like, somebody that's sensitive may attract more. So it's like, oh, I cleaned my house with sage a year ago. Now things are going away. I done took care of that. It's not like that. You, like, a person with real deal paranormal issues, and that's frequent, you've got to, like, I always recommend start out, like, for example, if you're going to be you're going to go the saging route, you sage once a week, and you start in the back of your house. And matter of fact, I've got a video. It's very, very short. I'll make a better one day, I promise. But it tells you exactly how to clear your house. And I have a bunch of spiritual protection stuff in one video on my YouTube channel, for example. But you have to do that like once a week if you're having severe paranormal issues. And I recommend on the same day. Certain lunar phases can bring back energy. Certain people with like if there's somebody that's coming around with, let's say, an addiction, sometimes we all have, like, I'm the first person to say I am addicted to cigarettes. That's fine, Yeah, I'm a smoker, and and people are like, well, you're a medium. You're not going to, I'll channel in your grandma right now with a cigarette in my mouth, bitch.
I need to relax out now, goddammit.
Yeah, so watch. I get cranky, but we all have addiction. But I mean, like, when I say addiction, the point of that was, when I say addiction, I mean like heavy addiction, heavy emotional problems. Maybe there's somebody like that you're supporting in your life. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's your child. They could be carrying something. Maybe they're the ones that are highly sensitive. People don't have to be psychic to be sensitive. And that's, even people that are sensitive might not ever use those abilities, but understanding that your actions or the actions of the people in your home can continually bring stuff back. Also, sometimes it just don't work. Sometimes you need more than one person to set those boundaries, because if you're in a bad paranormal situation and you've done everything you can and nothing's working, sometimes the entity can block you. It can definitely block you from receiving help. It's like a energetic shield. Like it's like people, I called out to Archangel Michael and nothing happened, but when you did, it worked, because you're being blocked. Your energy's being blocked, and they can even block you from your guides sometimes to a degree, and you also, and sometimes it's trauma that stands in the way. Maybe you haven't forgave your second ex-boyfriend for wrecking your car, and he's a dirty son bitch, and it hurts you really bad, but you're going to have to eventually say, that's in the past. The biggest thing that I can say, easiest way, what's in the past is simple. We all know this. What's in the past, you can't change. You can only change the present to have a better future. That goes for forgiveness, love. Like, I've got some principles I try to go by. That's give without expectation, within limits. Don't just give, your car away to the homeless, right? Of course, it's extreme, but give without expectation. Care for people, like, take time to care for yourself, love yourself, and just do the best you can, and don't be an asshole. Be an asshole sometimes, but if you are an asshole, make sure you're not, hurting people. And be humble and be thankful. Gratitude goes a long way, person to person, but even just taking time to say thank you to your guides, to whatever you believe in above, giving thanks and saying thank you for the clarity. That gratitude and love and giving without expectation goes a long way. We are not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. Whatever's happened in the past, I feel like I'm talking to somebody in the chat. Whatever's happened in the past, let it go the best you can. Right now's the time.
Did anybody?
That person was asking about they felt like they had someone's squeezing their heart, even though if they set boundaries. So
yeah.
Maybe they're being blocked, like how you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me last night, and that can be something. And how often is that happening, Native Pride Paranormal? I'm reading the chat over here. Yeah, Snowfall caffeine can do it, actually. I found that out.
By the way, tell your dad there's a little mini one. You see it? carry this in my
Do you
purse. I
have
told
that
you I
with
have them
your
everywhere.
keys, dude?
He said once.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, it can happen. That happened to me last night on location, but it's also like they know that's one of my fears because
Yeah.
I've had AFibs and I've had like racing heart pain because of like chronic pain. Like I've been hospitalized for high blood pressure and racing heart because of pain in my back, right? And they can do that. They actually have the ability. It makes you like your heart skip a beat. Yeah, that happened to me last night, and I just removed myself from the situation. I stayed and pushed through it, and my guides would push, but it continued to push back. And I actually got it recorded. I actually recorded that 3 different ways. And every time I would push out, it would come back and it would sit on your chest. And that is them saying leave. And or if you're not having that over and over again, I think that might be a way they passed away and then they just kept doing it because they didn't want me there. Some descended human spirits 100% have the ability to do that. And that's the best thing to do is just leave. Because some people with weak hearts can actually fall out. Like I have heard of people going to the hospital for paranormal activity. It is factual. They can do that, but because, you're putting yourself in that situation as a paranormal investigator. You're going into somebody else's space. I'm not saying any of y'all do it or anything, but it does bother me when I see other paranormal investigators like provoking because you're in their house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's different levels of provoking. Provoking could be like, are you here? All that kind of stuff. But I'm talking about mean provoking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like there's so much. We will have to like bring you on for like a part two. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Girl,
I know I'm silly.
No, at all.
I love it.
Hello, we're talking about price rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing is like my kids are always like, but they're still like 12 and 14 and they're still laughing at potty words. It's like, Jesus.
I will forever laugh at like fart noises. So
me too.
Yeah.
I can't.
They learned it honestly, right? So if
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you, Chaz.
So much information, and I feel like
thank you.
We can still go on. So yeah, we definitely I want to bring you back for another.
Yeah, if you're willing, we'd love to have you. Yeah, I would love to have you back on too.
Yeah, I'll look at my schedule and get with Jen.
Yeah, he enjoyed it because he doesn't ever ask. He just stares at the damn camera.
Well, is this the Joey that we got the gift certificate for?
No.
Oh, it's a different one. Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe is one of my teammates, and this one's Joey.
Yeah.
Gotcha. My bad. I'm so sorry. It looks so similar.
I know, what?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He didn't contact you yet, right?
So this is the Joy, the other J to make JJ paranormal.
Got you. Okay. I got you now. My bad.
Yeah. It keeps us young.
But yeah, definitely. I've got plenty of stories. I mean, I think y'all wanted, there's a couple more stories. I have stories for days, honestly. So, I can definitely come back on and share my thoughts and opinions. And I hope that for the viewers, some of this was helpful. That's what I try to do.
No. So yeah, I'm gonna say sub Joy enjoys too. Joy.
Yeah, no, he does. Yeah, he
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I met him through another person we both follow too.
And Chaz,
nice.
please,
Thank you.
if you take this time out to plug yourself.
Yes. So everybody,
everybody can find you.
Sure. Yeah. So they put my link tree in the chat. So again, if you just tuned in during the middle of this, I'm a psychic medium and astrologer. I specialize in the paranormal, and I have my own personal YouTube channel, the Luminary Luna Beams. With the link in the chat, you can find all of my projects. You get my emails even there. You get, and if you're interested in booking like a service with me, I have a whole list of services. You can just email me, or you can find it on the link tree. It is a Google Drive for right now. I don't have a full website. I'm working on that. That's like my thing I just can't get done. But I'm also starting to teach classes. My first class is Manifesting with the Moon. It's going to be June 27th. All the details are in one of my videos. I'm now very active on YouTube. Then I have my podcast, Lights at Midnight, that I host with Emily, the Fine Art Medium. It's a psychic paranormal podcast. Got a lot of spooky stuff going on over there. And then the Luminary Luna Beams is like psychic mediumship, spooky stuff, and astrology and stuff with such an intuitive development.
Do you do live readings, or how does that work?
So if you book a reading with me, I do it all over the phone. So I have a Google number, right? But I have started doing live astrology stuff, which I really enjoy doing. But all of my readings, they're done over the phone. Everybody gets a recording link to a drive, like in a drive folder, because I save their stuff in a folder, and they get a link to it for always. And some stuff, comes with like the birth chart, or, and I can do it in 30-minute to 1 hour sessions generally. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I got a lot going on, so I tried to remember everything.
That's good.
But I loved it. I loved being here with y'all. It's always a pleasure to hang out with like-minded people, and I know me and Jen have been talking about this for a while, so pleasure to meet y'all officially. And him too, yeah. And good to see you.
Well, I've heard a lot about you. I've actually heard your voice before you and came on the show today.
Oh yeah.
But
I think we follow each other. Yeah, but I don't.
We do.
I want to say, even though you haven't helped me directly, you helping out Jenny is always. It's like if you were helping me out. So I'm always thankful for it.
Happy to do it.
Much love, and definitely we need to have you on. Because I actually wanted to just kind of, I know Jenny's wanting to talk to you about it as well, like more of the cards, like tarot and things like that. So we can definitely.
Yeah, I think in a part 2, like we can do that, since she did have her cards ready, but
we'll definitely have you on for that. Kevin, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Kevin? Kevin, watch.
Hey, Kevin.
So speaking of Kevin, there's a certain duo that's on the screen that's having an episode coming out with Kevin.
I wonder who that can be. It's definitely not.
It's not definitely not us.
We've already done that before.
Mine was last year.
That's right. Actually, that's how I met Chaz. So, thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
No,
I'm excited to see the episode.
Yeah, we have an episode this Friday.
Yeah.
You have an episode this Friday on Where the Weird Ones Are podcast. You can follow him on that YouTube channel and watch it.
Yes.
Please.
Yep. And Kevin, you introduced by linking to your podcast. I got to meet all these great people. So you're super awesome special. I appreciate you.
He's an amazing guy. We had the chance to meet him and investigate with him. We were the first time that he ever got to investigate. Was with us anytime.
Yeah.
We actually threw him out there too. We had him do the Estes session and everything. First time investigating. So we had the honor of being able to say that. Great guy. So please, everybody, if you have lots of love for the people on the screen, do us a favor and subscribe to Kevin.
Amazing guest.
100%.
Chastity's amazing, so there you go.
Thank you. And, I try. I would do a heart, but I can never get it right. Like I really suck at hearts on the screen. Yeah. It's like I love y'all.
All right, guys.
So, Joey and Joey, where can the good folks find you at?
So you can find us here on YouTube at Joy and Joey, or on Instagram jj.paranormal. And then from there, you can find my other TikToks and all that stuff. I think, I don't know, but if not, that's fine.
Awesome. Yeah. And then you can find us 305 Paranormal on IG, YouTube, and TikTok as well. And you can find me, Mr. 305 Paranormal on IG. As far as next week's guest,
we have somebody from New Jersey. I think he's from New Jersey.
Yeah, he's from Jersey.
And
you guys may know him as
Scaredy. I was gonna say Scaredy Pants. Scaredy Pants Paranormal. No, Scaredy Cat Paranormal.
Scaredy Cat Paranormal. Our good friend Sean. Yeah. And little hint for you guys. He's also the newest member of War Party Paranormal.
Yeah.
Our War Party Paranormal is growing. So they are starting a new North team, and Sean just got added to the team. So congratulations, my friend, and we'll have you on.
Yeah.
But not only that, I think we have a
We have a couple. We have a few awesome people coming on.
we have
We have a surprise. Are you gonna say it? Is that what you're trying to say?
no.
She's about to start
We
throwing
have-
that hand. I'm gonna duck in North Carolina. Shit.
Well, if I can finish, we have. Now you threw me off.
So no.
For my folks that live in South Florida, my folks that live in South Florida, War Party Paranormal, we have an event this Friday at Old Davie Schoolhouse. If you guys want to investigate with us, we'll be out there.
It's giving you a hand. Got the middle
Just
finger
that
up.
one for you guys.
He made those fingers bend.
And then lastly, before I'm getting the broom here from her, lastly, friend of the chat and friend of the show, James from Crossing the Line Paranormal. He's actually doing a show right now. So if you guys want to tune into that, it's NSPS TV, the YouTube. Just search it and you'll be able to see our good buddy James.
And we want to thank Dan Tex for all the links and all the information. He's amazing as always. I don't know how he keeps up. It's all the coffee.
So everybody just follow each other. Yes. Everybody just follow each other and make it a big old paranormal community.
Sammy.
That's
I
right.
like it.
Support each other.
That's right.
All right. Well, tune in next week, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.